For most of his life, Mel Brooks dealt with tough stuff the same way he dealt with everything, with big laughs. That's how he got past sad times, broken hearts, and just getting older slowly. But now at 99 years old, something finally got through his funny shield. When Mel talked lately about Reiner dying, his words didn't have any jokes or big acting. They came out quiet and they hurt a lot. What he said wasn't super dramatic, but it felt really heavy. And once you know their long story together, why he stayed so quiet for so long makes total sense. The sad beginnings of Mel Brooks' funny side. Mel Brooks grew up to be one of the biggest comedy stars in America, but his early life didn't look easy or fancy at all. He wasn't born with money or nice things. He came into the world on a kitchen table in a falling-apart apartment building in Brooklyn. That little detail feels kinda perfect, like the start of a joke in a life full of making things up to survive. That day might have been the happiest in his baby years. Sad stuff came super fast and didn't hold back. When Mel was only 2, his dad died from a bad kidney sickness, leaving the family really poor and fighting to eat. That hurt stayed with him forever. Even as an old guy, Mel felt mad about it deep down, like the world played a mean trick way too soon. If there was any love in that house, it came from his mom. She gave her baby boy tons of hugs and attention, almost like a show. On chilly Brooklyn mornings, she'd sing old love songs while putting clothes on him, making normal stuff feel like fun theater. Mel soaked it all up. One day, when he was still not even 5, he sang one of those songs at school. A teacher heard it and boom, he was up on stage singing for the whole school. That's when something clicked inside him. The clapping, the eyes on him, the crowd laughing. It felt perfect. Even that young, he got how cool it was to stand up and make people feel happy, especially with giggles. At home, funny things happened every day. His mom really cared about following rules, so when Grandma came over, she'd make Mel watch the door. The second he saw Grandma coming, the kitchen went crazy. Non-kosher food disappeared super quick. They cleaned up every clue right before the door opened. Then everything looked normal again, like magic. That wild rush, the perfect timing, the silly mess, it was just like slapstick comedy. Years later, it felt exactly like scenes in his movies, but life wasn't funny most days. Growing up with no money and no dad made him tough fast. Mel said later that a lot of his jokes came from anger and feeling mad. Those feelings started back then. On Brooklyn streets, being funny wasn't just for fun, it was protection. Mel was little, often sick, and looked different, so bullies picked on him easy. Being Jewish made it worse sometimes. His quick, smart mouth saved him a bunch. A good joke could calm things down enough to skip a fight. In his stories, comedy really stopped him from getting hurt. That naughty side showed up early too, sometimes going too far. Way before he was famous, he once stole gum and a toy water gun from a store. When the worker caught him, Mel pointed the toy gun like it was real. The worker got scared and froze. Mel just walked out eating his stolen gum. He told that story later laughing, but it shows something bigger. Even as a little kid, Mel knew about acting, timing, and fooling people. He learned young that if you could take charge of a moment and make folks react, you could get through almost anything. How crazy times shaped Mel Brooks. Mel grew up hearing sewing machines all day, the sound of a family making clothes to pay bills and stay alive. For a while, it seemed like he'd do the same job, cut cloth, sew stuff, follow a safe, boring path, but something else was tugging at him quietly. Years later, Mel described the exact second he couldn't ignore it anymore. He was way in the back row of a Broadway show called Anything Goes, so far back he could hardly see, but he felt it anyway. From the cheapest seats, he suddenly knew what he wanted. Show business wasn't just fun, it was his place. He started early. By 14, Mel was doing parties as an entertainer, learning the hard way that making people laugh could be risky. One early act became famous for bad reasons. Dressed in a nice suit, derby hat, and thick coat, he'd run out with a briefcase full of rocks, yell that business stunk, and jump right into a pool. The crowd loved it. The trouble was he couldn't swim up. The wet, heavy coat and rocks pulled him down every time, so a lifeguard had to save him before he drowned. Somehow the danger made people like it more. That wild fame got him a stage part playing a 75-year-old guy, crazy casting that somehow fit Mel's world. Chaos followed there too. In one show, he dropped a glass pitcher on stage. It broke and water went everywhere. Instead of stopping, Mel broke character totally. He yanked off his wig, stepped into the lights, and took over the moment. The crowd laughed like crazy and kept going for almost an hour. That habit of breaking the wall between him and the audience became his special comedy thing. Behind the goofy stuff was a super smart brain. Mel tested as a genius and the army noticed. After high school, he joined a special army program studying electrical engineering plus weird stuff like riding horses and sword fighting. It was a strange start to real war. By 1944, Mel was in the Army as a combat engineer with the 1104th Engineer Combat Battalion. Whether he got picked or signed up, he ended up in Europe during one of the worst parts of the war. His group was in the Battle of the Bulge, full of mess, confusion, and lots of people getting hurt or killed every day. Stories differ on how close he got to fighting, but Mel always said he was thrown right into it. Sirens, tanks, sudden shooting, that became normal. When not getting shot at, he built bridges, cleared paths, and took apart enemy stuff, scary jobs with no room for mess-ups. It scared him bad. He joked later that combat engineering mixed the two things he hated most, fighting and engineering. But the danger was real, especially with bombs in the ground. Weirdly, Mel worried about his ears as much as dying. The noise never stopped. To handle it, he stuffed cigarette butts in his ears, a rough fix that made him half-deaf, dizzy, and kinda cut off from everything. Germany changed him forever. He never forgot seeing bodies wrapped in mattress covers along roads. A sad sign, death was always close. To stay okay, he sang all the time and used jokes as a shield against fear. After the war, Mel stayed in Europe doing shows for soldiers, keeping them happy even when old bad feelings stuck around. When someone yelled mean anti-Jewish stuff, Mel didn't yell back. He took off his helmet calmly, said he didn't want to ruin army stuff, and hit the guy with his metal lunch kit. He got in trouble and spent time locked up but sent a clear message. Still, Mel left the army with an honorable discharge. Back in New York, he finally chased the dream waiting for him. He started playing drums and piano in Catskills clubs, even learning from jazz star Buddy Rich. But the main spotlight kept pulling. One night a comedian didn't show, so they pushed Mel on stage with nothing ready. He made it up as he went, trusted his gut, and won everyone over. From then on, he went all in on comedy, mixing impressions, quick thinking, and wild energy. Not everybody liked it. After one show, a nice older lady suggested he try a safe job fixing planes. Good advice, but Mel already picked his path, and wow, it turned out great. How everything almost fell apart. As a teen, Mel did something huge. He became friends with Sid Caesar. When Mel got back to New York, he made sure that friendship helped. He followed Sid around, throwing jokes at him nonstop, sneaking funny lines in everywhere, never stopping. Finally, Sid gave in. At just 24, Mel got to write for a new TV show. For him, it felt like heaven and scary at once. The show was Your Show of Shows, a huge hit that people still call amazing. On screen, it looked perfect. Behind the scenes, it was super stressful. Mel said everyone hated each other. The writer's room wasn't calm, it was a war zone. Every writer fought hard to get even one joke on air, and it got mean. That room had future big names: Mel Tolkien, Lucille Callan, Joe Stein, Larry Gelbart, Mike Stewart, and even young Woody Allen, all sharpening their skills in the same spot, trying to beat each other. As tough as that was, Mel had a bigger issue. He wasn't supposed to be there officially. The producer Max Liebman hated him. To sneak him in, Sid paid Mel $50 a week secretly. Liebman's hate was obvious. He'd throw lit cigars at Mel's face. To be fair, Mel earned some of it with his wild pranks, and Liebman was his top target. One day, Mel pretended to be baseball guy Pepper Martin. He ran full speed at Liebman, yelling about sliding into base. At the last second, Mel dove headfirst between Liebman's legs. Liebman jumped so high he hit the ceiling. After that, the cigar throws made sense, but even Liebman couldn't ignore Mel's talent. Eventually, Sid put him on the real payroll. Suddenly, Mel made $5,000 a week, crazy money. That success went to Caesar's Hour too. For a bit, it looked like Mel made it forever, then it all vanished. Jobs stopped, money gone. Mel went from TV king to scraping by on $85 a week. Worst timing ever. In the early 1950s, he fell in love with Florence Baum, a dancer in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. They got married, and even though Mel had big paychecks before, it didn't prepare him for married life and no cash. Years later, he joked there was no money saved. He was married, in debt, shocked how quick it crashed. Even broke and sad at home, Mel was still super fun at parties. Around then, he and writer Carl Reiner started messing with an improv idea. Mel played a guy alive for 2,000 years. They'd been buddies since meeting in 1950 on Sid Caesar's show, always bouncing energy off each other. The bit started as a private joke. Carl once pitched a news-style sketch about real events but got turned down. One break he brought it back as fun, saying a guy saw the crucifixion. Mel jumped in with a thick Yiddish accent. It was silly nonsense just for laughs among friends. They never planned to show it to anyone. But at a party when they did it, George Burns heard and said record it quick before someone steals it. When it went public, it blew up. People loved it. Almost overnight, Mel became the hottest funny guy in New York, but while laughs got bigger, problems at home started showing. Mel's first marriage to Florence Baum stayed super quiet and awkward. Nobody talked much about what really went on inside, but by the end they had zero money left, totally broke. By 1960, Mel hit his limit. He left Florence in New York and went to Los Angeles for a new start with distance and chances, but money trouble followed. Even after spending everything, Florence still wanted more. When Mel went back to New York, he faced a court mess. His wife sued for separation. The marriage ended in divorce, and Mel dealt with it his way through jokes. He wrote something called "Marriage is a Dirty, Rotten Fraud." A short 6-word line that showed his hurt and anger clear. Good thing that bad time ended right when a good one started. Almost like a movie, Mel's second love came super fast. In 1961, auditioning for a Perry Como TV special, he met actress Anne Bancroft. The second they met, they clicked hard. In just a few years, they married in 1964. What came next became one of Hollywood's rare happy long marriages. In a place where couples often split quick, Mel and Anne built something strong. Mel called Anne his rock and guide, the one who kept him steady when he wanted to go wild. She wasn't just his wife, she kept him balanced. At the same time, Mel's work finally took off big. The 2,000-year-old man, once just party fun, became huge everywhere. Mel and Carl put it on TV, and people loved the silly talk. Soon they made an album called 2,000 Years with Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks that sold over 1 million copies fast. That hit came perfect timing. Mel still had money worries, and the album kept him going. On that high, Mel worked with Buck Henry on Get Smart. Back then, TV comedy was safe and predictable. Get Smart broke rules. It was quick, over the top, and silly fun like a comic book alive. People loved it until the newness faded. But Mel got a taste of being in charge. Didn't want less, he aimed bigger. At a risky musical comedy most studios said no to. Bosses hardly listened to the idea. It was extra shocking then because many studio heads were Jewish too, but they hated a musical about a guy named Adolf. They got upset fast. Mel remembered being told to leave for his own good, but by then he didn't care about safe. He'd survived poor times, war, flops, and heartbreak. Now with love beside him and nothing to lose, he took his biggest chance ever. The chance that changed it all. After tons of no's, Mel finally got a studio to say yes to the script nobody wanted. That gamble became The Producers, a first movie so wild and weird it split people right away. Some shocked, some mad, but nobody ignored it. Mel did the impossible. He made one of history's worst guys a joke and pulled it off. Even old-school Hollywood had to admit it when the movie won him an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. But praise came with lots of hate. Many called it rude or wrong. Some in the business pulled back, and parts of the Jewish community felt bad about joking on that. Critics said he had no control, just shock instead of real writing. One big reviewer called it just jokes, not real script. Mel didn't fight it, he owned it. Joke writing was his style, no sorry needed. Hate didn't stop at reviews. Rabbis sent disappointed letters saying a Jewish director shouldn't joke about Hitler. Mel wrote back to everyone. His point was simple: laughing takes power from bad guys. He knew his jokes could sting, but that sting helped make a bigger point. When Mel turned The Producers into a musical later, it got even harder. He loved music and played instruments, but no school training, he couldn't read notes. He hummed tunes into a recorder and got pros to write them down. Weird way, but it worked. The movie wasn't a huge money hit right away, but it did bigger. It showed Mel as a real filmmaker with his own style nobody could miss. That trust got him money for next one, The 12 Chairs, from a book by Ilf and Petrov. The comedy felt light, but making it was tough. Mel took everyone to Yugoslavia, where shooting tested them hard. By end he looked different: hair gray, lost over 70 pounds. Water there acted more like medicine that makes you go bathroom than drink. Mel joked about it later, but it hurt for real. He followed with Blazing Saddles, No. W called one of the best comedies ever. At first it almost got thrown away. When Mel showed it to Warner Bros. Bosses, the room went quiet, no laughs. One said hide it and forget losses. Mel said no. He set one last test for regular workers, not bosses. They laughed huge from start to end. With that proof, studio changed mind. Blazing Saddles came out and hit big. Over time, Mel locked his spot in history. He joined the small club with Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony wins. But one silly ongoing joke was less fancy. After mentioning racinettes in Blazing Saddles, the company sent free boxes every month, a treat he loved. Mel kept trying new things. In 1976, Silent Movie came out, almost all visual jokes. Only one word spoken by famous mime Marcel Marceau. No talking made laughs bigger. At one showing, a loud laugh stood out. It was Alan Alda who found Mel later to say great job. Anne Bancroft joked she always knew someone would crack up big. Through 80s and 90s, Mel worked on, though nothing matched Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles' impact. Even Robin Hood, Men in Tights almost didn't happen. When Mel called Carrie Elwes for the part, Carrie thought prank and hung up. As Mel got older, he slowed but never quit. In 2000s, he did voice acting, then back to writing and producing a long-awaited sequel to History of the World Part I. It worked, but in a world that felt changed to him. Like his first marriage, his time with Anne Bancroft stayed very private. When she died from cancer in 2005, it surprised even close pals. Mel was crushed. He said later, nothing compared to a love like that. Old stories about Mel's fights never went away. Critic Roger Ebert remembered riding elevator with Mel and Anne when a stranger called the producers vulgar. Mel grinned and said it went even lower. Criticism kept coming. After release, angry letters from religious folks poured in. Mel answered them all, repeating his belief, when facing awful history, making fun sometimes takes away the power. At 99, Mel Brooks breaks silence on Rob Reiner, and it's bad. Mel Brooks talked lately about losing Carl Reiner, and you can feel how heavy it is. He said Carl's death would have broken his son Rob Reiner, but it also ended one of the longest, deepest friendships in show business. To get why it hurts so much, go back over 70 years. The story starts in early 1950s when TV comedy was brand new and being made up live. From 1950 to 1954, NBC's Your Show of Shows was like a fun lab for writers and stars who shaped American laughs. Every week, Sid Caesar, Imogen Coca, Howard Morris, and Carl Reiner made homes happy across the country. Behind them, a writer's room full of future stars like Selma Diamond, the Simon Brothers, and Mel Tolkin. And in that room was young, quick 24-year-old Mel Brooks. Carl Reiner was 6 years older, already sure of himself, already smooth. Right when they met, it clicked. Carl remembered walking in and hearing Mel do a crazy bit about a Jewish pirate complaining about sales prices. Carl knew right away this guy was special. Mel felt it too. They saw each other as same-kind souls fast. What came next wasn't just working together. It was a 70-year talk made of pure laughs. Their magic showed best in the famous 2,000-year-old man bit. Carl was the calm question guy. Mel was the old survivor full of sass, memories, and thick Yiddish sound. The best part wasn't just jokes, it was trust. Mel always said if he could really make Carl laugh, the stuff was good. Carl wasn't just partner, he was Mel's favorite person to make giggle. That friendship went way past work. Even years later, after both changed movies and TV, they stayed close. While Carl made the Dick Van Dyke Show and directed The Jerk, Mel gave us Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. But their favorite thing came later when fame didn't matter. Almost every night Mel drove to Carl's Beverly Hills house. They'd eat dinner, watch Jeopardy, then pick a movie, judging if good by action cliches like lock all doors or secure the perimeter. Those meant fun. If Mel didn't come, Carl said he felt lost. Friends visited sometimes, but the real heart was always two old pals trying to crack each other up. Even in 2020, they'd sit in Carl's living room, slipping back into 2,000-year-old man just for fun. After both lost wives, friendship got even bigger. Dinner stayed key. Mel joked Carl's place had friendship, love, and free food impossible to skip. Under jokes was real stuff. Carl said imagining no Mel felt awful. Carl Reiner died June 29, 2020 at 98. Just days before he shared a last video about his life, talking lots about Mel, still calling him the funniest person ever. Mel paid tribute simple, nobody did it better as writer, performer, or friend. In the HBO documentary Mel Brooks, the 99-year-old man, the last part of their friendship shows with sad clearness. Mel was there the night Carl fell. Rob Reiner says his dad collapsed in bathroom and Mel found him. As paramedics came, Mel woo. LDN quit hope, pushing them to keep trying way past when it looked bad. He just couldn't let go. After Carl died, Mel kept coming every day, sat in same chair, watched TV, stayed for dinner, holding the routine tight. Rob remembers Mel joking the house should sell with him inside to boost price, but jokes couldn't hide it. Mel stayed because being near Carl, even gone, felt needed. Though close in age, Rob felt Mel saw his dad more as wise guide than equal. Respect went both ways. Carl always praised Mel's talent, saying work spoke itself and doubters just missed it. Then 5 years after Carl's death, the family got hit by shock nobody expected. In mid-December 2025, Rob Reiner and wife Michelle Singer Reiner were found dead in their Brentwood home in Los Angeles. News shook the movie world and way more. It broke December 14 and hit hard. Rob Reiner, a huge name in today's movies, and Michelle, a respected photographer and producer, were found gone in their house. Authorities said both had multiple sharp force injuries. From start, the details felt really upsetting. Reports said their daughter Romy accidentally started things. That afternoon, a massage person came for appointment but no answer at gate. Worried, they called Romy. She rushed over with roommate but went in alone. Inside, she found her dad. Shocked, she ran out and didn't see her mom. Roommate called 911. When help arrived and went in, they confirmed Michelle died too. Later reports said both had stab wounds to neck plus other hurts. They were probably gone hours before found. As more came out, police reacted big. LA Fire said man 78 and woman 68 found dead. LAPD said robbery homicide detectives took over usually for big cases. Street got closed with detectives coming and going. Early weird claims too. Sources said Romy told police about a certain family member, calling him dangerous and saying check close. Days later, police said 32-year-old son Nick Reiner was person of interest. He's now set for trial, a heartbreaking twist in awful mess. Loss went far past family. LA Mayor Karen Bass said it was devastating for city and country. She talked Rob's huge impact through films and years fighting for fairness and better lives. Personally, she knew them as kind, hard workers helping others. Their work mattered a lot. Rob started First 5 California for young kids. He and Michelle strongly backed marriage equality and fought Proposition 8, earning big respect in LGBTQ+ world. Family confirmed through Variety, calling it sudden and super painful, full of deep sadness. After, Mel Brooks spoke with clear heartbreak. At HBO documentary premiere, Mel Brooks, the 99-year-old man, he talked lifelong friendship with Carl and said thank goodness Carl didn't live to see this. He thought old friend couldn't handle that pain. Mel spoke sweet about their laughs, real body-shaking ones from years of trust and love, nothing fake, just true joy. What's left is a story full of sadness. A famous family built on laughs and ideas, now facing awful pain. It reminds us even greatest stories can touch dark times. And behind stars are families carrying the deepest hurt.